You often hear about these groundbreaking AI concepts. They sound brilliant, maybe even revolutionary in theory.
Right.
But then there's always that little voice, that nagging question maybe in the back of your mind. Is this actually real? Does it work, in the messy real world?
Absolutely. That's the million-dollar question for so much AI research.
So today we're diving into a really fascinating real-world experiment, one that tackles exactly that kind of skepticism head on.
Yeah, for this deep dive, we're looking at a piece called Safeguard AI, From Theory to Raspberry Pi Reality. It's from Bangxin AI Studio.
Okay.
And our mission, really, is to understand how this complex AI idea they call the safeguard system, how it's taking its very first crucial steps, moving from, a nice, neat simulation into the unpredictable real world.
Using surprisingly simple hardware, I gather.
Exactly. A Raspberry Pi, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds like the ultimate litmus test, really, putting theory right up against reality.
Hmm.
Because in simulations, everything's perfect, right? Conditions are totally controlled, theories look flawless.
Ideal conditions, yeah.
But proving that same theory works out there with all the uncertainty, all the quirks, that's a completely different ballgame.
It really is.
And this deep dive, hopefully, will show you exactly how one team is actually doing it.
Yep.
So let's maybe start with the big picture, this safeguard system.
Yeah.
What's the theoretical goal? It sounds incredibly ambitious.
Well, the core idea is designing an AI that can learn, that can find the best possible answers or solutions,
Okay.
but without risking errors or failures in the real world while it's learning.
Okay. So like an AI that learns from mistakes, but those mistakes happen virtually, not causing actual harm.
Yeah.
Is that the gist?
That's precisely the ambition. And you've hit on why it sounds, well, almost too good to be true for a lot of experts.
Right. Because simulations are one thing.
Exactly. Simulations give you that perfect sandbox, pristine conditions. But applying those theories in a real unpredictable environment, that's the huge hurdle. It's where many AI concepts stumble. So the question becomes, how do you actually bridge that gap?
And this is where it gets really interesting and kind of innovative, I think. Bangxin AI Studio. They took a critical first step.
Mm-hmm.
They decided, okay, let's prove the core theory, but let's do it on hardware that's accessible, affordable, simple. Specifically, like you said, a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. No supercomputers needed, no huge data centers, just this tiny credit card-sized device.
Was that part of the strategy? To show, hey, this isn't some, ivory tower concept needing massive computing power, that it could be more broadly applicable?
I think that's absolutely part of it. That decision was key. And the specific goal for this first experiment was very focused.
Okay, what was it?
It was simply to demonstrate that they could create a stable, closed-loop control system using this straightforward hardware. And crucially, that this system could reliably collect real control data, they call it UT, and real system output data, Y.
The UT and YT, okay.
And connecting that back to the bigger picture, this data, this raw, real-world data, is the essential ingredient. It's the raw material for building what they call the fictitious fitness landscape.
The fictitious fitness landscape. That's central to the safeguard system, isn't it?
It is. Think of it like a conceptual map. Every point on this map represents a possible way the AI could behave.
Right.
And the fitness at that point tells you how well, or more importantly, how safely the AI performs that behavior.
Right.
So by collecting real-world data, UT and YT, they're essentially charting this map accurately, grounding it in reality.
So the AI can then navigate this map safely, avoiding the dangerous spots or the suboptimal paths before it tries them out for real.
Precisely, before it makes those critical real-world decisions.
That's a powerful idea. So this landscape isn't just showing what is, but it's actively guiding the AI towards the safest, most effective routes within the real world.
Right.
Like a detailed topo map helping a climber avoid cliffs and find the best path.
That's a great analogy, yes.
Okay, so what did this miniature lab actually look like? You said simple hardware. Not some high-tech clean room, I imagine.
Not at all. They set up a basic but really effective temperature control system.
Like a tiny thermostat experiment.
Kind of. It sounds almost like a mad scientist's miniature setup, but it was elegant.
Just a few simple parts creating this complex data. Okay, break it down for us.
Sure. So the brain was a Raspberry Pi 4. That's the central processing unit, the controller.
Got it.
The heart of the system, or what engineers often call the plant, was basically a heater. A 10-watt power resistor.
Just a resistor. Oh.
Yeah, acting as the heat source.
Right.
And paired with that was a DS18B20 digital sensor for accurate temperature measurement.
Okay, brain, heater, sensor, what else?
Then you have the muscle. This was a MOSFET.
A MOSFET. Like a switch.
Exactly, a very fast electronic switch. It takes commands from the Raspberry Pi and controls the power going to that resistor, the heater, and it does this using a technique called PWM.
Pulse width modulation.
Pulse width modulation, yeah.
So put simply,
Yeah.
the Raspberry Pi reads the temperature from the sensor. Then it tells the MOSFET how fast to switch the heater on and off.
Pretty much. It's varying the proportion of on-time versus off-time within each cycle really quickly.
So it makes the temperature change feel smooth even though it's digital control, like how some light dimmers work.
That's a good way to think about it, yes.
Okay, so that's the hardware setup. Pretty neat. How did they actually run the experiment?
Well, they wrote a Python script. And this script had to do two critical things at the same time.
Okay, multitasking.
Right. First, control. It used a basic stable PI controller, that's proportional integral control.
PI control, a standard technique.
Very standard, very robust.
Yeah.
And they specifically called it a safe controller in the paper.
Safe.
Because it's well understood. It's designed to maintain stability, to prevent wild swings or erratic behavior while the system is running, and potentially later, while an AI might be exploring. It just guided the temperature smoothly to a target, a set point, like, say, 60 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so stable control first. What was the second function?
Data recording. And this was crucial. Every single second, the script meticulously recorded the vital signs of the system into a CSV file.
A spreadsheet file, essentially.
Yep. It recorded the time, the target temperature, they call that RT, the actual measured temperature, that's YUT.
Right, UT was the real output.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the error, ET, which is just the difference between the target and the actual temperature.
Okay.
And finally, the output control signal, UT.
And UT, just to clarify again, that's what the controller told the heater to do, like the power level signal.
Exactly. It's the intent signal from the controller to the MOSFET, managing the heater power via PWM. So you have UT, the intent, and YT, the actual result, the measured temperature.
Got it. Intent and result. And those two streams of data, collected second by second, are the foundation for understanding how actions affect the real world.
Precisely. That's the core data needed for the safeguard systems learning process down the line.
And they didn't need to run this for ages?
Yeah.
Just long enough to get a good picture?
Nope. They ran it for about 10 to 15 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah, just long enough to capture data during the initial ramp-up, the sort of transient phase when it's settling.
Right.
And then also during the steady state period, once it had stabilized around that 60-degree target.
Okay. Now, when you first look at the output, like you said, it's just a CSV file, a bunch of numbers and columns. It seems almost, well, unremarkable.
It does look mundane at first glance.
But then you step back and realize the profound significance of those seemingly ordinary digits.
This is where the real victory lies.
It's easy to dismiss a simple data file, isn't it? But seeing it as undeniable evidence of real physics happening in real time, that really changes the perspective.
Absolutely. That CSV file, full of raw numbers, it represents tangible, undeniable evidence. That's the key phrase.
Unlike simulated numbers.
Exactly. Simulated numbers are generated inside a perfect, controlled digital box. These numbers are records of actual physics unfolding. It's the difference between an architect's beautiful blueprint and the actual building standing there solid in front of you. One's an idea, the other is undeniable reality.
And this data directly counters that skepticism, doesn't it? The worry that maybe results are just fudged or only work in the simulation.
It does, because, as the source document puts it quite bluntly, data obtained from the real world does not lie.
It just is.
It just is. It reflects the actual cause and effect in that physical system.
So this data isn't just numbers, it's really foundational proof. It unlocks the door to the next phase.
Yes. This successful data collection, it validates their very first core assumption.
Which was
the ability to build a functional, stable control system on real, simple hardware. And, maybe even more importantly, the ability to gather the essential, unbiased, real-world data, the UT and YTUT, needed to move forward with the safeguard concept.
So it proves the concept can touch reality.
It proves the first step is feasible, yes, and it's a very firm beginning. This experiment shows the safeguard system concept isn't just some elegant theory stuck on paper.
Right.
It also shows it's computationally efficient enough that the control and data logging can run on a small, accessible computer like a Raspberry Pi.
That demystifies it quite a bit. It's
Yeah.
not black magic needing a supercomputer.
Not at all. And remember, the goal of the safeguard system is fundamentally about creating that virtual sandbox, the fictitious fitness landscape, based on this real data.
So the AI can experiment safely within that landscape.
Exactly. It can fail millions of times virtually,
Yeah.
learning from the patterns in the real data we've collected without any real-world consequence. So that, when it finally does make decisions in the real physical system, it's already learned the safe and effective pathways.
Right. It's practiced on a realistic but safe virtual twin. And the next stage then is actually building that twin, that landscape.
That's the next big step. This real-world data collected from this simple little temperature system
Yeah.
will now be fed into their algorithms to actually create that virtual landscape for the very first time using real measurements.
And that's when the true potential, the intelligence and safety aspect, really starts to take shape.
That's when we'll begin to see the power of this approach unfold.
Okay. So there you have it. This deep dive really explored that remarkable journey, didn't it? A complex AI concept, the
Yeah.
safeguard system, moving from theory, from brilliant idea, to actual real-world validation. And maybe the aha moment here, for me at least, is seeing that even these really advanced ideas can be grounded in simple, undeniable, real-world data,
Yeah.
collected by something as humble, as accessible as a Raspberry Pi. Pretty cool.
It really is. It makes advanced AI seem a little less abstract, maybe.
Definitely. So what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, maybe something for you to ponder on. Considering this initial success, think about what new possibilities might open up. What happens when these intricate AI learning mechanisms can be directly informed, directly shaped by the raw, unbiased data of the physical world? Even when that data is collected by small, cheap, accessible devices like a Pi, how might this very fundamental step proving you can reliably get that real data, how might that reshape our whole approach to developing AI that's not just intelligent, but also truly demonstrably safe for the future?